is up, everybody? Dan and the Fireman here. Today we're doing a medical review of this wheelie crash. It's going to be high injury to the left side, especially the legs and possibly the head. Thankfully, he's wearing a helmet. I will go over what's in my trauma kit real quick, but I'm not going to focus too much on that. I just want to tell you guys what it is that you can do when it comes to something like this, just in case your buddy crashes, whether it's from a wheelie or maybe a construction pylon got in the way and you crashed into it. What do you do? Okay, so let's go ahead and start watching.
Yeah, you good?
It hurts.
You alright?
It hurts.
What hurts?
My legs.
Your legs?
Yeah.
You alright?
No.
Fuck, dude.
Don't move him, wait. Look, just
Go straight up the road.
I'm on the phone right now with 911.
No. Go straight off the road.
Huh?
Get my bike off the road.
Hey, hey.
No.
Hey.
I don't know if
Just
keep laying down. Just
What's-
have to keep laying down. You actually should. Just lay down. Yeah. Just learned, Lauren's going on.
Typical, group ride. Everyone's kind of spaced, no formation. That's fine. Do you guys do you? Okay. So just right here, high skill, high reward for these riders. For me, it's high skill, low reward. Therefore, I'm not doing it. That's just me, though. I don't know too much about the stunt culture. I'm not bought into it, which, I don't know why I'm not. I don't know too much. So if you are in the stunt culture, please honestly educate me. This is an honest ask, basically, is educate me on this part. My biggest concern when I see an image like this is just all we have is a helmet, maybe gloves, no impact protection for the hips, knees, shoulders, elbows, or even the back. So that's my biggest concern there. I'm just wondering why you're not wearing gear. I think it might be because of the restriction of movement. Anyways, let's go ahead and focus on the medical part. So right there, from the previous video that I did, somebody mentioned that the bike shut off. If you can kind of hear the RPMs change on you, or like it was going high and then all of a sudden it drops, I'm concerned or wondering why that happened. You hear how it just kind of died off. Maybe the kill switch, engine shut off switch, kind of went. I'm not too sure about that one. All right, so there's the mechanism of injury. That's something that we talk about all the time. Now, typically with mechanism of injury, we are focused from the rescuer's point of view to where we come upon the scene. So we don't know. We have to do an investigative work, but this is a legit videography of a photo, a frame of the actual mechanism of injury. So when I talk about it and I say, when I see the damage to the side of the bike, only the right side, and I see skid marks and I see how far they're going, it kind of tells me, what speed they're going. Since the bike is damaged on the right side, I'm more inclined to think that there's gonna be right hip, maybe right shoulder, right elbow, possibly on the head on the right side damage. So that's why I focus on mechanism of injury when I'm walking up to the scene.
Oh, fuck, dude.
All right, so right now, the oh crap dude or whatever, the guy that's saying it, he has that helmet head fire going on. He's trying to think, what do I do? What do I do? Oh crap. That's a typical reaction you're going to have whether you've been doing this a while or not. So this is the moment you could either become a smart rider or you can take off. Basically that. So what are you going to do as a smart rider? You're going to rescue your friend with medical training, and hopefully you have a med kit in your backpack or in a saddlebag or underneath your seat if you have room. See how long it took to turn around? It's like, what do I do? All right, so the simple fact that he's not moving. Now, that's very scary. We don't know if he lost consciousness or not. If you watch the original video, he actually starts talking, but it's very slurred. But the fact that he's not moving, it does give me some information of that this is not a good situation. One thing I like about this is he did park his bike so the light is on the patient so you can see what you're doing. Get hot parts off the injured person. That way you're not getting second and third degree burns. All right, you can see some discoloration on the right side where the hip is. Now that's where you have hip protectors on your motorcycle specific gear. And this is why I'm concerned about stunt riders. And it's like, why aren't you wearing these types of things? Because you're going to crash, you're going to fall. You have the protection for your bike and you know the bike's going to crash. Why do you think that you're going to be fine when it comes to that? And I understand the whole concept of, well, I can replace parts on the bike. I can't replace me, so I could just hop off and I'll just heal, right? Well, more than likely, in a crash like this, it's going to take a long time to heal, and it's going to be very painful, very dangerous, and very expensive. So just wear gear. That's my point of view. I still don't understand, so please let me know in the comments.
It hurts.
Yeah, you good?
It hurts.
You all right?
It hurts.
What hurts?
My legs.
Your legs? You all right?
No.
Okay, so if this is your friend and the first thing that you say to him is, what's going on? He's like, it hurts, it hurts. Are you okay? No. If you know that your friend is not the type of person to ever say that, and you guys are like joking around how we're not wussies and stuff, you know, you scrape your leg, not a big deal. And all of a sudden he's like, no, dude, I'm hurt. Are you okay? No. That right there, you need to take that right there and say, we are going to go into an emergency mode and we're going to help our friend. We're going to get him to the hospital. We got to do this, because his initial thought is, I'm not okay. And if it's this type of friend that says all the time, dude, it's fine, I'm always good, you know, I'm okay, and all of a sudden he says no, something there, that should give you that uncommon thing in a common situation. You know what I mean? So the thing is, I believe it might have been a head injury. You can have a small concussion that you'll recover really quickly from, and I think that's what he's starting to do later on. And I think that's the mentality, the method of it, because it really does mess with you. It's almost like if you're drunk and you start to have some problems, but you can still feel the pain, you're confused, so it's like a scary, panicked. It's really difficult to explain. It's just something that their personality, the way they speak, the way they talk is a different person. If that's the case, you need to do something. The brain basically shut off and is restarting. And that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Even after sleeping, you kind of just come back out of it. So this is a bad situation. You need to do something.
Fuck, dude.
Don't move him. Wait. Look,
So just real quick, look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. So pay attention real quick. Look at this right here. He's not staring at you. He's not looking at you. He's not conversing with you. He's not being his normal self. He's just in la la land. And that's typically a brain injury. So you got to be very careful with that. He's going to come back out of it, hopefully. But it's something that you do need to go to the hospital for, to get these CT scans, MRIs, all these different things.
look, just.
You want to sit up?
I'm on the phone right now with 911.
So one of the concerns I had when I first watched this was the legs, how they almost look like they're not equal, and then one's kind of turned in. That's typical of a hip injury, a hip fracture, but it's mainly just his shoes falling off. But that's something I look for sometimes. You see the little off step of their legs, the shortening of one leg and the extension of one, and then maybe turned in a little bit, like how they're not supposed to. Those are things you typically see with a hip injury. And you can almost see a deformity. I don't know if that is something in his pocket. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but you see how on his hip it just kind of goes in a big bump. That could be the head of the femur popped out. So that's something to be very concerned about. That's probably why his leg hurts, but I do see that he's trying to put some weight on it, and I just noticed his eyes right there. That is a panicked stare. And that means he's starting to wake up and he's concerned about what's going on.
No, straight off the road.
Huh?
Get my bike off the road.
He's aware enough to say that.
Hey, hey.
No.
Hey,
I don't know if you
Hey, hi.
just keep laying down. Just
What's-
have to keep laying down. You actually should. Just lay down.
So he couldn't put a lot of weight on that leg. It might not be a deformity. It might be just his pocket. But the thing is, he's got to have a lot of pain on that, so he wasn't even able to stand up, or the fact that he has a brain injury to where his equilibrium, his balance is completely demolished, and he's not able to stand or do much. This is definitely a hospital trip. This is something that you need to do. So one of the big concerns at this point is that nobody's taking C-spine precautions, so they're not keeping his head in line with his spine. You're worried a little bit more about, being paralyzed and stuff. But the thing is, he's moving on his own. He's doing it his own. He has structural stability. He's doing it. If you try to force somebody that's coming out of a brain injury or a seizure to just stay still, it's not going to happen. They're going to be groggy and they're going to be very, very, very agitated. So what you have to do is just kind of corral them until they kind of come to, and then you can convince them to lay down. And I think that's about what's happening here. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for patients or for people to come out of it. This might have been such a minor incident for the brain that he's able to come out of it now. Now, if it's something big, like in the video where the guy crashed into the electric fence and he was just kind of out of it, that takes a little bit longer. If you want to check that video out, please do so. But while I'm at this point, I want to go ahead and mention what's in here. Now, I have links in the description to all the items that I have in my own trauma kit, and you can go ahead and build your own, because that's what I did. Is that I have a lot of equipment in here, okay? So I have, a bunch of roll clean. I got some stretch bandage. I got tourniquet, a bunch of gloves, different sizes. So just in case I crash or somebody else's crashes, I can have different size gloves for those people. Also have trauma shears so I can cut through any equipment if I needed to. But I have just the basics for bleeding control, airway management, and to expose the patient. And that's really all you can do in a situation like this. It's not like you can, relieve a tension pneumothorax, because it's definitely out of your scope of practice, especially as a bystander. So as somebody that's a bystander, what you want to do is just stop the bleeding. Really just stop the bleeding and possibly breathe for them if you know how to do that. But the main thing is you're going to get this education from accidentscene.org. I do have a link in the description for that. And I have all my resources in there. So take that class, build your own kit, start talking about gear with your friends. Start learning how to be a smart rider so you can start rescuing and then teaching, acquiring gear. You see how it all starts and does everything. So the one takeaway from this video, and that's what the point of an after action review, is that you need to wear your gear, okay? So wear your gear, have hip protectors, have as much as you possibly can, especially if you're gonna do a high risk skill. So that's something that you really want to do. Make sure that you minimize any type of injuries to yourself, just like you're trying to do for your bike with the stunt cage. Also, ride around with some friends that have some medical training, just in case something like this happens, either to you or to your friends, so you have that medical training, so you can take care of them until EMS arrives, because who knows, you could have a femoral artery break, or he could be bleeding out somewhere, and you need to know how to stop it to save your friend's life, because we can only get there in 5 to 10 minutes, okay? You could die in that time. Another thing is, if you are a motorcycle rider and you want to learn how to develop your fundamental skills, check out my second channel, Motorcycle Training Concepts. I do have a video on there where I can show you an easy course that is a lot of fun, and you're going to learn quite a bit about what you can do and what your bike can do. And it's a lot of fun. My kids do it on their bikes, and I do it on the motorcycle. So they're learning, I'm learning, and we're just having fun. With that said, I hope you guys ride safe, be safe, get yourself a kit, and save somebody's life.